of, feel free to light up the chat and let us know what's on your mind. We'll probably try to get started at about 2:05. Just as a heads up, John Floyd, unfortunately, is not going to be with us today. He got a big case that he is working on, and so to personally attend due to that, we hope to see him next year. Sorry, please proceed.
Me, Jacob.
Go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to discuss a point where this friend of mine, he says he's progressive and he's going to run for office in the near future, but he also said he's up to keep the Second Amendment. What does our revolution believe on that?
I'm going to be honest with you. I do not have the Our Revolution official policy off the top of my head. I personally believe that the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms is an important thing. However, I personally believe that weapons of war have no place in the hands of the average citizen. So this is me speaking individually, personally. The rampant proliferation of levels of firearms is just not cool. To keep and bear arms is one thing. To have military hardware that could not have possibly been envisioned by founding fathers who didn't have electricity or indoor plumbing is lunacy. That's my policy.
I see it. It makes sense.
We definitely support gun control. Just so everybody's aware, the main thing on our agenda today is to have member feedback, which is going to be later in the meeting. So everybody will get a chance to bring up whatever topics they would like at that point. Looks like we lost Jeremy.
And of course, we will have a candidate forum, candidate minute when folks who are running for office are encouraged to give us their elevator speech. We do request that it be kept to 1 minute, though.
Jeremy, we ready to start the agenda?
All right, let's go ahead and begin.
Gentlemen and everyone in between those, welcome to the December 2021 monthly Our Revolution Harris County meeting. I am Chuck Cruz. We have with us also Jeremy Scheid and Latonya Whittington, who are our steering committee members. John Floyd, unfortunately, is not able to join us. We do have Scott Hewless, who is an incredible advisor, although being outside of Harris County is not technically a steering committee member, but is an excellent addition and always appreciated. So on behalf of the steering committee, welcome to our monthly meeting. And yes, Scott is our treasurer. I apologize. Big thing I should have covered. So as a reminder, our mission statement, Our Revolution Harris County's mission is to be working in the furtherance of economic, political, social, racial, and environmental justice through education, direct action, and political engagement. As always, we encourage folks to become volunteer deputy voter registrars, aka VDVRs. Help folks get registered to vote, get them educated and involved in their local politics, because all politics is local. We're going to hand it over to Scott for a treasurer's report.
Right. So we now have a little over $750 in the bank. We've been collecting electronic donations for a couple months now. Last month, we had a little bit of a glitch in the crowd pack. It wasn't processing our monthly donations, but they have caught that up and squared that away. So there shouldn't be any problem with monthly donations now. So that's why we've made a little bit more progress on the bank account. We still need more of those. If someone would like to donate, that is the QR code right there on the screen. You can just hold your phone up and it'll take you right to our donation page. So thank you to Dylan Osborne for signing up as a new monthly donor. Thank you to Bill Hunn, Clayton Tucker, a new monthly donor, and our regular donors, John Floyd, Charles Cruz, Rafi Calistian, myself, and Judy Kraft. So thanks, everybody. Please help support the chapter. Those donations go directly to us rather than to national. That's it.
Muted. Quick reminder, we also do have the Our Revolution Texas membership for activities outside of Harris County and a little bit inside as well. We encourage folks to be members of both levels. If you have the means and ability, please consider making generous donations to both organizations. Well, our sub-organization within Our Revolution Texas. Again, we've got the QR code right there. Our agenda for today, we will have the leadership elections. We have one open seat and we have, I believe it is, sorry, a little bit scattered at the moment. We have one open seat and we have one person who is looking to step down, but if we do not have enough interest, we will possibly have him again. We will be talking about the runoff for Elizabeth Santos. We'll talk about how to join the endorsement committee, which is getting off the ground because the primaries are going to be here in the blink of an eye. We're going to have the Candidates Corner Members Minute and then talk about upcoming meetings and events and how you can get involved.
So everybody, first off, we want to start off this meeting by first saying we want to have our steering election committee. Ruth Milburn is one of the members who have signed up to join the leadership team, and she is here to become a new member of our steering committee. So we would like to give Ruth a few minutes to speak on her behalf, state her experiences. If you have any questions about Ruth, we'll hold a short Q&A right after she's done. Ruth, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Jeremy, and the rest of the group. I am very interested in politics and have been for a long time. Initially was involved primarily through the women's movement, became active in the Harris County Women's Political Caucus, actually a founding member of that organization, and have held a number of offices in both the Harris County and Texas Women's Political Caucus. Also very active in Common Cause, have been a member of the National Governing Board and chair of the Texas Common Cause organization. I have to say that after the last revolution of the Democratic Party in Texas, I kind of fell away from being heavily involved with politics and only got really interested again when Bernie's campaign came around, and all of a sudden, all these other people were thinking like I had been thinking, and there was a chance that we were going to actually make a change again in the way politics is done and in whom we were going to elect. And so I did get a little bit more involved. I've been attending the meetings of Our Revolution Harris County, attended the state convention last year. I guess it's actually this year, last summer. And I've begun to get a little involved with the organization. I served on the bylaws committee for Texas And I've served on the endorsement committee this fall for Our Revolution Harris County. I really would like to contribute more of my time to this organization. Let me tell you a little bit about what political knowledge I have. I have volunteered in a large number of individual campaigns, starting with Sissy Farenthold, if any of you remember that name, and love to do block walking. I will push cards at the poll. Don't really like to do phone banking. I'll do it, but don't really like to do that. So I volunteer also at my precinct when asked. I do participate. I vote in every election, every runoff, every primary. I vote in the Democratic primary. I would love to take that grassroots level of involvement in politics and apply it to this organization. I am employed full-time. I work for Baker Ripley in what is essentially an internal audit position, but I do have a lot of flexibility, especially these days with working from home. And so I have time to contribute to this organization. I'm happy to answer any questions anybody might have.
So if you have any questions, please use the raise hand function. And I see we have our first question from Latanya.
Okay. Hi, Ruth. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing fine. It's good to see you.
Yes, it's great to see you too as well. And first meet you. I have a couple of questions, and Ruth, being a steering committee or any other committee, that you might be in, starting off with saying what you don't like to do may not be the best thing to say. I do phone banking for Our Revolution National. I'm an organizer, so believe me, I deal with the hangups and the no's, but then I do find some good people that want to do and some great things, for the United States of America. And they really believe in Our Revolution and what we're doing, so out of the 10, the one good call helps me through the rest, so don't totally put that no on the phone banking. I might have to drag you with me one day, just so you can give it a try. But my first question is, well, hello, everybody. And I would like to know your stance on legalization of cannabis in Texas. How do you feel about decriminalization and also recreational, and if you do know these terms, just be honest with me. If you don't, just kind of give me the truth on it. And then my second question is, I want to know your stance on, minorities, Blacks, Hispanic, the unjust that we do deal with, are you in tune with that? And what is your feelings on that? And what do you think could be the one thing that could change it, or how you can help in making a difference? I know that was a lot.
Okay, well, let me get to the first one first.
Okay.
I do believe in decriminalization of possession. And in fact, I really think that we ought to just give up on thinking of cannabis as this terrible negative thing that leads to depravity and drug addiction. This actually can be a good medicine. My husband, when he was in hospice, did actually use cannabis to assist with the management of pain. And so I see nothing evil or negative about the drug itself. And I think that it's terrible that we have ruined so many lives. And as a start on the second question, particularly lives of people in minority communities, where I think we have torn families apart. We have put particularly young men in prison for possessing minor quantities of this drug and not then able to support their children, their spouses, their partners, however. And I just think that we need to do something in this state. We need to do something in this country to get rid of that awful way in which we're handling that drug. And then on to your second issue. I have been participating through Rice University in the Rice Alumni Program that is looking at trying to help make every one of us more aware of how we have been part of the problem, part of the continuation of what happened in the outcome of when we did away with slavery. We didn't do away with Jim Crow. We didn't do away with the institutionalized racism that we still experience today. And I've been going through all the readings and the video and so on. I didn't finish it in the 21 days that we said we would try to, but I'm still working on it. And I do hope that I'm becoming more aware of where I can make a difference. Because I don't like to see that. I work in an agency that prides itself on being diverse, and we are. And we have begun trying to change the way in which we work internally as well, to make sure that we are hearing all voices and that we're bringing all ideas to the table. I hope that answers your questions, LaTanya.
Yes, thank you very much.
We have another question from Jacob. I apologize if I mispronounce your last name. Klemitich, you have the floor. Jacob, are you there?
I'm here. I just couldn't unmute myself. What I want to ask is this. Mattress Bank of Gallery Furniture told me that what needs to be discussed before the Harris County Commissioners County Court is the problem with releasing criminals back into society with the fiasco of the so-called bail reform. He says more work needs to be done on it, so violent criminals do not assault innocent victims. Like this one Hispanic lady on October 28th was letting it be known that her sister was murdered violently by a criminal who was on bail, who was out in.
Are you asking that I comment on my position? I can't speak for all of our revolution, but I believe that persons who have been incarcerated should be given another chance. And I do think that the best chance is for them to have employment. Now, you can always find in any collection of people persons who will behave negatively. And I am sure that this woman who was very concerned about the death of her sister is very upset that someone was allowed back on the street who should probably not have been. But that does not mean that we should not allow the other 250,000 people who were being kept in jail or prison because they didn't have the money to get out from being released back to a meaningful life and a productive life. That's my personal opinion.
Hope that answers your question, Jacob. Last call for questions. All right. Well, in that case, we will go ahead and cast a vote. Now, first of all, I apologize if you hear any background noise, just so everyone knows. If you are wanting to buy an extra t-shirt for Our Revolution, I am here at Midtown Bar and Grill. You can stop by 4:30, maybe I'll say up till 5, buy a t-shirt. So again, apologize for the background noise. As for our voting, I'm going to cast a poll where you are going to ask if you are in favor for the election of Ruth or not. Hopefully the poll will work. So let's cross our fingers. Oh, that is the wrong poll. Hold on.
Oh, that's an old one.
Yeah, apparently they still have the same polls from our last meetings, and for some reason I can't make a new one.
We could do it with the raise hand.
So I could do it with this one. Instead of saying to approve the press release, to say, do you approve of Ruth or do you not approve of Ruth? If you do support Ruth, then please click the support button. If you oppose, and if you are unsure, then hey, you know, we got a table option for you as well. Votes are coming in.
I can't vote since I'm a co-host, but I vote yes.
Yeah, so Chuck, Latanya, Scott, and myself, if y'all would want, you can do a vocal vote. I vote yes. We're gonna hold on for a few more seconds. Looks like majority of people voted. Give it 10 more seconds to make it a full minute. And that is a minute. Sharing the results, it seems that a large quantity of support. I don't know if y'all can see. Yeah, y'all can see the results?
Yeah.
Yeah, so large quantity supports Ruth. Ruth, we'd like to welcome you to the steering committee. Congratulations. Your term will officially begin in January, but you are welcome to get an early start if you want. As for everyone, thank you for voting, and we'll love to see what you can do for us in the future, Ruth. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our next agenda. We wanted to remind everyone on the runoffs. Elizabeth Santos is in the runoffs right now. The last day for voting is going to be December 11th, and early voting ends tomorrow. If you want, there are still opportunities that you can help out with her campaign. In fact, I'm going block walking tomorrow for Santos, and you can scan this QR code to find more information and sign up for a website. And it looks like Chuck wants to add something else to that.
Harris County Democratic Party is also running a text bank for Elizabeth Santos, and I participated last night. It is ludicrously easy. It is far and away the easiest volunteerism I've ever done. You're using the Impactive system through HCDP, and it's incredibly easy. I sent somewhere on the order of like 700 or 800 texts last night and responded to the people who responded. And it's just incredibly easy. Everything's masked, so your personal information isn't visible to the people you are texting. There is a link on the HCDP website for, let me see if I can find that real quick and drop it into the chat. I'm gonna keep babbling to keep things going while I find this, but it was just amazingly easy. I think it's a really cool way to volunteer. And especially if you're not a big fan of talking to total strangers, texting total strangers is far, far easier. So let me see. I've got it right here. It's loading up and there we go. I think this is it. Yep. Here we go. Well, let me see if I can share copy invite link. There we go. Let's see if this works. And there you go. So that should be the link for the text banking for Trustee Santos. And the texting through Impactive is just amazingly easy. It's a walk in the park. It's the easiest volunteerism you'll ever do, I think. So please sign up.
We also can't stress enough how important these runoffs are. These are very low turnout elections, and it could really, small number of voters can really change the tide. So please show up to vote. Please support Santos, and let's make a difference. We also want to announce that we are starting our endorsement committee for the 2022 election cycle. If you are interested in joining the endorsement committee, this is a sign-up link where you can go ahead, join our Mobilize, and we will be having our first meeting this coming Monday on December 6th at 6:30. We'll be discussing local races. There are a few city council races, mayoral races. There's going to be county commissioner races, congressional, Texas House, Texas Senate. We'll be looking at everything down the ballot. So if you are interested in trying to help vet for progressive candidates, this is an opportunity that you can help out and you can join the revolution. As for candidates that are already have our endorsements and are seeking for renewal endorsements, we have a special announcement for you. We will take care of I guess you could call it a renewal endorsement form in our next meeting in January. The endorsement committee will send out information to all candidates before then. So if you have any questions, check your emails. We guarantee that we will contact you. We will not send out anything until after the filing deadline has finished, just to be fair, so we can equally take a look at all candidates. So take a look at your emails after the filing deadline has finished, and then you should see what you should do for the next steps. For those of you that are seeking our endorsements for the first time, we will be sending out questionnaires as well. And then on that questionnaire, they will set a timetable of when you need to turn it in, and we will take care of your endorsements more likely in our February meeting. So just to recap, endorsement committee starting on Monday. If you're interested, please join. If you're here for renewal of endorsements, check out our meeting on January in your email box. And also, if you're looking for our endorsement for the first time, we will have our form in February. Now, we're going to move on to our candidates corner. Latanya, can you take over from here?
Yes, I can. I can. Right now, what we're at is the candidates corner, and we have some great positions that these people are running for. So as our Revolution Harris County, we want to give you an opportunity where you can talk about your race, what you're doing, and how we can contact you if we want to be a part of it, okay? So I see some great people on here. So I have County Treasurer Dylan. Dylan, why don't you go ahead and start us off?
Hey, thank you, Latanya. I really appreciate it. Y'all forgive me for not turning on my camera today. I'm in between errands. My girlfriend's recovering from surgery, so I'm part delivery driver, part nurse, and part maid this week. So I'm out on the roads, but I'm happy to be here today to listen in and see what's going on with our revolution. For those of you who have been around, you know, I've supported this chapter for several years now, and I'm happy to be a part of it. I was very proud to be an endorsed candidate in the last election in 2018. And I hope to regain that endorsement, and I hope you'll stick with me in this coming primary. I definitely need your support. So Dylan Osborne, your Harris County Treasurer, and I look forward to seeing you all again in person soon. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Dylan, for your time, and we appreciate what you're doing. Next, I have Chase West. Chase West. I'm sorry, I think I did that last time. We want to hear about your race and how's it going?
It's going pretty good so far. Actually, my deputy finance director on his first day, he talked to somebody. He said, "Thank you know we appreciate your contribution to the chest waist." And I was like, "What?" Anyway, my name is Chase West. I'm your average guy. I'm running for House District 132 against Mike Schofield. I am running unopposed. One thing that really sets me apart, that gives me a lot of hope that I can win. Obviously, I'm a supporter of legalization of recreational adult use marijuana. I support expanding Medicare and broadening the scope of what's covered under Medicaid, like ASD therapy for autistic children. I'm Hispanic, but I look just like them. I've got tattoos, a beard, and I'm a white guy. So that's how I'm going to kind of creep in there and take that victory from Schofield.
Okay, what a way to go. What a way to go. Whatever works for you, right? That's what I say. Well, thank you very much, Chase. We appreciate you supporting us each month and coming on here. All right, so next I saw Judge David. Is that Fleischer? Did I say that correct?
Close enough.
Okay, well, what is the correct pronunciation?
I am David Fleischer. I am the judge in County Criminal Court at Law Number 5. I want to thank you for actually doing the work and doing endorsements, because there are a lot of organizations that don't. And it's so important because there are people who say that they are progressive when in reality they really are not, and so I think it's vitally important to really go through and vet people out to see, are they truly progressive? I am the judge in County Criminal Court Law Number 5. And, one of the things that we do is we have tried to upend the bail system. And there are a lot of people who still don't believe in it. But I mean, that's what it is. That's what needs to happen. And unfortunately, there are those that don't believe so, but that's what we practice. And we have upended a system that's been in place for God knows how many years. And the thing is that letting people out and showing them the love and the support, hopefully you can impact their lives in such a way that they don't come back. That's the name of the game, is to help people enough and nurture them so that they don't come back, and I've tried to make it our mantra. And, I try to be the Ted Lasso of the criminal court system, where, I want to treat you the way that I was treated growing up. And, it helped me wonders, even when I was slipping and falling. So anyways, I'm David Fleischer, running for re-election. I hope that you'll have me. And I've been honored to be sitting in that and helping out as much as I can. But thanks for having me. I was endorsed by this group last time, and I'm hoping that I can get the endorsement again. So thanks, guys.
Yes, I was just reading that you were endorsed by us previously, so you'll be up for renewal. All right. So thank you so much for sharing your stance and what you believe in and how you can make a change. We appreciate that. And I don't see his hand up, but he put in the notes section is Tim Mahoney, and he filed for Texas Comptroller. And his email and organization, I appreciate that. Everyone else that's running, oh, I see some hands now. Everyone else that's running, if you could please put your information in the chat so that people who want to support you and volunteer for your campaign can do so. So Tim, if you want to take a minute or 1 minute to tell us about your run.
Yeah, it's been, I filed this past Tuesday, so I'm in and
Congratulations.
thank you. It's going to be an interesting ride, trying to understand the psychology of the state
Mhm.
right now is, it's going to be an interesting ride. I plan to, I won't have as much money as some of the other Democrats, and we've got some great candidates, for governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general. But I'll try to have mine be more of a regional organizing campaign. And if the Democrats do well, my campaign will do well. So,
Right.
and I really appreciate the work that our revolution Harris County's been doing. I've been involved in our revolution since Bernie Sanders came to the state. And this is definitely the healthy aspect of our revolution project. So keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your kind words. And congratulations again. So next I have Miss Andrea Beal. Did I say it right finally or no?
It's Bell, but however you need to
Bell.
remember it for the ballot.
No. Okay, you're running for judicial candidate for 185 District Court. So
Yes,
tell
ma'am.
us what you got going on.
So I am an adjunct law professor, a child homicide prosecutor, and I used to work in nonprofits with at-risk youth and young adults in the 2nd and 3rd wards here in Houston before law school. And I'm running for the 185th to help with the case backlog, because one of the unfortunate side effects of the case backlog, even with bail reform, is in some of these courts, we now have more people, like more individuals that are sitting in custody pretrial. And so we need to get people to trial in order to lower that case backlog, in order to get people out, right?
Right.
So my opponent only tried 7 cases in the 3 years he's been on the bench, and I know that I can work harder for the county. I'm also running to create a youthful offenders program in that court to get more individualized rehabilitation for individuals between 17 and 25 in the adult probation system by pairing them with community leaders. And I've already been approaching nonprofits in order to get partnerships so that these young men and women can have mentors, access to jobs. We can do educational training in order to make sure that they're not part of the recidivism rate anymore. So
Okay,
Andrea
great.
Bell, running for the 185th. Thanks so much.
And how do we get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I'll put my information in the chat, but my
Great.
website is andreabellforjudge.com, and then
Okay.
my email is listed on there as well.
All right.
Or yeah, I'll put it all in the chat for y'all. So thanks
All
so
right,
much.
so make sure you let us know. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
Thanks.
All right, so next, I can't wait to hear from Ms. Veronica Nelson, and she's for the 482 District Court Judicial Candidate. Let's hear from you, Veronica. Unmute yourself, sweetheart. I'll do that.
It helps to actually hear what I have to say, right?
Yes, yes.
My name is Veronica Nelson. I'm running for the 482nd District Court. It's a brand new bench, so I'm not trying to take anybody's job. It's just something that, it's out there and new. A little bit about myself. I'm originally from California, and I got here as soon as I could, but I was a prosecutor for about 11 years, a chief prosecutor. So I've tried everything that would be in this court. In 2019, actually, I was recruited by the county court judges, some of the judges that you guys have endorsed, both criminal and civil, to be their staff attorney. And that has been a great awakening for me because I've gotten to do a lot of the background work and kind of take credit for a lot of the things that they got to do. I know Judge Fleischer didn't give you the list, but we've done a lot of work in the last 3 years to move the system
She ain't
forward.
lying.
One of the big things, of course, is the bail lawsuit. And the other thing is we started a MAC program and getting with the community. We're starting a bridge program, and we've done a lot in that short period of time. And luckily, I've been able to be involved in the background of it. And I think with that experience, it will help because, you know, the felony courts are going through the same thing the misdemeanor courts did about 3 or 4 years ago. So with my background in that, I'll be able to help and give a fresh start to the 482nd that they might not have, and I have the experience to do so. So I appreciate you guys giving me a time to talk. And again, my name is Veronica Nelson for the 482nd.
Wow, exciting, Veronica. Good luck to you. And thank you for coming, and keep coming, keep visiting us. All right.
And I'll put my stuff in the chat too as well.
Please do so. All right. So next up, let's see. I have Jarrell Rogers, and I've seen you before. You came before. Thank you so much for the support. Let us know what you got going on this month.
Absolutely. Hey, our revolution. So my name is Jarrell Rogers. I'm a candidate for Harris County Criminal Court at Law number 14, Criminal Misdemeanor Bench. And for me, you know, we talked about it, even Veronica mentioned it, and we talk about community aspect. And for me, community has always just been so important. And so that's why I preach it everywhere I go. And I talk about my community experience. I'm a former teacher here in Houston, HIZ, Sharpstown Middle School. One of the things I enjoy the most is when I get to hang with my little brother that I have. I volunteer through Big Brothers Big Sisters. I've been a big brother for about 3 years now. And these are all things, you know, that I did before I even decided to run for office. And so it's just who I am, right? So I'm not building my resume now that I decided to run for office. You know, I'm just simply telling people who I am, who I've been my whole life. And so I'm just want to share that with people. And I just think that that's what's important when you're talking about community, when you're talking about making sure that we're that bail reform is going to go properly. You have to know what's happening in the community. You have to know how people feel in the community. And so my experiences, I've been able to have organic, real life conversations with people in their communities about what's happening. So I want to bring that experience combined with my experience. I handle murders and capital murders. And so I want to combine that and just bring that perspective to the bench. I just think it's lacking right now. And so I'm looking forward to come January, going to hit the ground running with door knocking, you know, staying safe, you know, particularly with this new COVID strand out. But would love for y'all help and support. And I look forward to talking with you all. Jarrell Rogers, Harris County Criminal Court Law 14. Thank you so much for having me.
Wow, these candidates are on fire. I'm excited to hear about each and every one of you guys. Thank you so much. And it seems like you really got it going on. All right, so the next person I got is Denise Brown. You're going for the 270th, let's see, there you go. Blacked out on me. But tell me what you're running for, Denise.
Be happy to. Hi, Our Revolution. My name's Denise Brown. I'm running for the 270th. It's a civil district court. And I'm running for a number of reasons. One, I'm super excited because yesterday I finally filed my petition. So I am officially on the ballot now. And so I'm super excited about that. But I'm running for a couple of reasons. The first thing is jury trials. They're not happening in the 270th. There's only been 5 since January 1st, 2019. And when you don't have jury trials, then you don't have access to justice. And that's really important to move the cases along, to give everybody the opportunity to have justice, to have their day in court. I'm also running to bring integrity back to the 270th. I believe that judges should be held to the highest levels of ethics and honesty. And last but not least, to make sure that there is equality in the 270th, so that when somebody stands in front of the bench, they're treated the same regardless of where they come from and what they look like, what they believe in, and who they love. I want to make sure that when somebody is standing before me, it doesn't matter if you're plaintiff or defendant, if you're a lawyer, a witness, the general public, you're going to get the same level of respect, of decorum, and dignity as everybody else who stands in front of me. So I'm Denise Brown for the 270th. I look forward to spending more time with y'all and getting your support.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Denise. It sounds like you're coming just straight from the heart. And we really appreciate you being here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, LaTanya.
You're welcome. My pleasure, Miss Denise. All right. So next I have Miss Selena Alanis. Am I right? And okay. And you're running for a candidate for Harris County Criminal Court 6. Tell us what that's all about, Selena. You have the floor.
Thank you so much, LaTanya. Thank you for having me this afternoon, Our Revolution. My name is Selena Alanis. I'm originally from the Rio Grande Valley. Went to school in Lubbock at Texas Tech, and now I'm in Harris County for the past 12 years. Love it, made it my home in the East End. I've been practicing law for the past 12 years, criminal defense and immigration law. I'm running for Harris County Criminal Court Law number 6 to bring my experience in both what we call a crossover of law of immigration and criminal defense, crimmigration. I'm the only candidate that does that, bring that experience to the bench. I've been to the trenches of the US and Texas and US, New Mexico and US California borders and seen the devastation of family separation, forcible separation. And I've also seen the lack of admonishments, proper admonishments from the benches that do lead to mass deportation of individuals. And I'm here to actually stop that and properly admonish people, make sure that people actually understand the proceedings against them, and stop that injustice for these individuals that we see on a daily basis. Padilla was enforced for a reason, and it needs to be properly handled by people who have experience in that. And I do bring that experience for the past 12 years, going on 13 years. So I'm here to bring my experience and treat, like Ms. Brown just said, it doesn't matter where you come from. I've represented people from various countries. It doesn't matter what you look like, what language you speak. It's important for you to understand what's going on. And it's not fair for someone to not understand what's going on and just take a short way route to plead guilty for no reason, that maybe they're not, understanding what's going on for them. And it's time for that to stop. So I'm here for that reason, and I'm running for Harris County Criminal Court Law number 6. And my name is Selena Alanis. Thank you so much for having me.
Why, thank you. That seems like a really huge responsibility, a lot on your plate, but I just know you're the person to do it. Thank you so much for running for this position, and good luck to you. All right. You're welcome, sweetheart. All right, the next person I have is Erica Ramirez, and it's she, her. So that's what I have. So let's see what that is all about. You have the floor, Erica.
Thank you, Latanya. This is Erica Ramirez. I'm a candidate for Harris County Criminal Court at Law number 8. I'm born and raised here in Houston, Texas, went to Bel Air High School. I was raised by social workers and was taught the importance of giving back to the community. And that's what I've devoted my entire career to. I was a teacher like Mr. Rogers, Jarrell Rogers, Mr. Rogers. Started my career as a teacher to give back with the students, and then I became a caseworker assistant with victims of domestic violence. And that is what inspired me in the courtroom, seeing those victims and attorneys working hard for their clients, whether it be the defendants or the victims, to go back to law school and become the first attorney in my family. And I continue my work giving back to the community, advocacy as a prosecutor, currently assigned to financial crimes, but I've tried everything from Class C tickets to capital murder. So I look forward to hopefully showing up for Harris County, giving back as a community servant, and respecting everybody in the courtroom. Everyone that walks through that courtroom absolutely deserves the respect that a court should give and should be treated fairly under the law. So that's what I hope to do as Harris County Criminal Court Law number 8 as judge. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome, and you're absolutely right. We all need to be treated fairly. So thank you and good luck to you. Now, I have one other person. I hope I don't botch up your name. Namrata. Am I right or wrong?
It's wrong, but that's okay. My name is Namrata.
I'm so sorry. Okay, give it to me one more time.
Namrata.
Namrata. That's beautiful. You have the floor.
Thank you. You can call me Nam. That's what all my kids call me, Miss Nam. But yes, it's so good to be here. My name is Namrata or Nam, and I'm running to be District 147 House Representative. Also, I use she, her, hers pronouns. I'm the youngest person to ever run for this district at 23 years old. And if elected, I would be the first queer woman and educator to be elected for this district. I'm running to bring progressive. Thank you. I'm running to bring progressive representation to Houston and Texas, and especially in a district like District 147, which has Montrose, the queer capital. It has 4 universities full of progressive students. Our district really deserves progressive representation. I'm the only candidate that's running a grassroots campaign, 100%, no corporate contributions. And really, I want to work with the community to focus on community issues and bring that And it's time to have some change and things stirred up in the Capitol. So I really hope that I can do that. I want to continue teaching. My students have been sending me videos about like, Ms. Nam, this is our video supporting you for running. But I want to stay on the ground, and I want to bring those issues from my community and my students so that they can grow up in a world that's a better place than the one that I found. So thank you. I really hope I can get your support in this progressive fight.
Thank you so much, Ms. Nam. And we appreciate you putting yourself out there. And we definitely do need a change. So thank you again. We really appreciate you. All right. Well, I think that's the last person for the candidates moment. And I'm going to give it over to Jeremy so he can tell me where we go from here.
All right, so next we're going to do a little thing different. So normally we take over, we do the members minute at this moment where we have a chance for our members to speak, but we're actually going to give our members more time to speak this time. You are our special guests. So we already have a couple of members who, Linda Phoenix for one, already raised her hand. We're going to give you a little more extra time to share. And the topic of discussion is really some updates about progressive policies, as well as what direction should our revolution go for the next year. So we asked to start thinking, what are things that you would like to see from us? What are some directions, visions? And we want to really hear from the membership, and hopefully we can get a good discussion going. Let's go ahead and start off with Linda Phoenix, who was a previous steering committee member. Linda, you have the floor. What topic would you like to bring?
Thank you, Jeremy. I'd like to talk about what's the possible danger to Medicare for All, something that's going on right now in Social Security, in Medicare. But first I want to say that I signed up for the candidate endorsement committee. So I'm one of those members. I don't just ask for people to do my stuff. I also make sure I do their stuff. And I will, of course, be doing all of our other, get out the vote stuff that's coming up. So in October, at the October meeting, I did a presentation about something very alarming that's happening to Medicare. Some of you were on that meeting, and I have an update. There's a bunch of activists who literally just returned from Washington, November 30th, where they were trying to get Congress's attention, and also Secretary Becerra, who's head of Human Health and Services. Here is the issue. There is a very serious revved up attempt to privatize Medicare. I'm sure some of you may have seen all these Medicare Advantage ads. I have never seen so many in my life. So Medicare Advantage has already privatized Medicare by 40%, but there is a new, scary, frightening, unbelievable thing underneath the radar. Here's my little sign. Can you see it? Direct contracting entities. This is something that was introduced the last few months of the Trump administration, and I am very sad to say that it is being green-lighted by the Biden administration. Remember that direct contracting entities, you need to know about it if you're young. You need to know about it if you have parents or grandparents on Medicare, because this is really stunning. With the direct contracting entity, what this means is that people who have chosen traditional Medicare, which I chose to get on, not an Advantage plan, we can, without our knowledge or consent, be enrolled in a direct contracting entity. And that is a Medicare Advantage-like plan. It takes the same business model as the Medicare Advantage plan, which is to do your very best to enroll healthier people, which is called cherry picking, disenroll them or find ways to deny their care when they become sicker. That's called lemon dropping. And the most important thing with the Medicare Advantage plans is to upcode. That is to charge the government a whole lot more money by making a senior citizen appear sicker than they are. The DCEs, the direct contracting entities, are going to do exactly the same. We know why the Trump administration would, of course, greenlight something like that on the way out the door. So sad that the Biden administration so far seems to be greenlighting it. There are already 53 direct contracting entities, including 12 in Texas, including one in Houston. I believe it's called Village, something like that, associated with Walgreens. And you may say, how can someone be put into a direct contracting entity without their knowledge? Well, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Innovation has the authority to create any kind of model they want and to upscale it through Medicare and Medicaid and here's the thing, no congressional oversight. There is no congressional oversight of CMMI. Even Republicans are freaked out about that. And so consequently, these are the kind of companies that can become a direct contracting entity. Wall Street investors are just, oh my gosh, they're salivating. They're organizing these now. A physician's practice can become a DCE. Medicare Advantage companies can become a DCE, start one. For-profit hospitals, the fact that so many entities can now apply to CMMI to become a direct contracting entity is absolutely the giveaway that the goal is to privatize Medicare. This is what the experts say by 2030. Privatize it. There will be no way to get Medicare for all. You got that? And that's by 2030. If they can rev that up and do that sooner, they will. I'm sorry to give you such bad information. I mean, it's really a downer, scary thing, but I know that you want to know it. You really want to hear it. Now, here's some sort of good news. They're Physicians for a National Health Program. They are on the front line of all of this. And why I know so much about it is I have been on monthly calls for 7 months trying to learn about this. And they are the folks that absolutely have their finger on the pulse of what's happening. I do have good taste in smart people. And so that's why I've been trying to learn about this, because it's so complicated. They're physicians, they're people in policy. I'm an everyday activist, as you all know, but it has really prompted me to do the following. I'm going to start a Save Medicare for All work group. I'm going to do it twice a month on a Wednesday night, a Zoom motif. I know we got to have time to phone bank and all that other stuff, but I'm still going to do this to educate as many of you as possible, because here's the other good news. Those physicians went to Washington on November 30th with a petition that had 13,000 signatures. Some of you may actually have signed it at the October meeting. They could not get this petition delivered to Secretary Becerra, but there is since some other good things I can't share about that. I think they're going to actually get a meeting with him. Secretary Becerra has the authority to end any model in CMMI. He can stop it in its tracks. Whether he will, I don't know. They also met with many, many members of Congress. We now have a champion in the Senate, Sherrod Brown. He's going to take up this cause. In the House, Pramila Jayapal is going to take up this cause. Head of the Progressive Caucus, that's really good. Here's the thing you need to know. Congress doesn't know about this. They do not know about this. So it is very important that they do, because of how profoundly serious this is. And we also, though, this is really, really important. They need activists. They need organizations behind this. That is what members of Congress told them, that this is going to be a fight. This is going to be a long, terrible fight. And it is vitally important that progressive organizations know about this, because while you're out there going, Medicare for all, we need Medicare for all, let's sign a petition, let's do all of these things, there will be no Medicare for all if they gut Medicare. we lose the model. We also hand over to the health insurance industry the best model we've ever had that we could ramp up for everyone. It will be probably impossible to get it back. So we're doing this not just for ourselves, you know, not just, I'm on Medicare. I tell you what, I thought I had died and gone to heaven when I finally could get on Medicare with a gap policy and stop worrying about what I was going to do with pre-existing conditions. And now it feels like that's going to all be drained out. So I'm going to put my email in the chat. I'm going to encourage you to join my group. Those of you who have worked with me, you know that I don't waste people's time. I'm efficient. I have very good taste in information. I will be shadowing that work group, that national work group I just told you about. They have the best information. They're going to be able to tell us this is the best thing for you to do. I want to localize this. So for example, maybe we're hitting certain members of Congress, like Lizzie Fletcher's my representative, already wrote her. Clearly, she doesn't have a clue that this is happening. So that's pretty much what I want to say. I would like the opportunity to update the chapter on what is happening with this periodically. I saw Clayton was on the call. I sure hope that we can push out some material, not just locally, but statewide as well. So thanks for listening. I'll put my email in the chat.
Thank you for that update, Linda. I see that Scott has his hand up. Scott, you have a question?
Yeah, I've got a question. I've also got an item. Linda, I just want to let you know I'll help you with getting the state organization on board. You know, so let's put an email together.
Awesome.
I'm sure we can get that done. This is exactly the kind of thing that the state org needs to be behind. The other thing was I was contacted this morning by Jerry Locke, our friend over at the Texas Drought Project. They are working on getting Congress to buy into a resolution. Let me get he just explained this to me this morning, but it's called the End the Pandemic Resolution, and it has to do with getting a TRIPS waiver for worldwide patents on COVID vaccines, which we have support for. The Biden administration is already behind it. They've said they want to do it, but the WTO is dragging their feet on actually implementing it. So to read part of the resolution, it says the US government must play its indispensable leadership role to work with South Africa and other nations to quickly finalize a WTO waiver, overcome the opposition now blocking the 130 nations that support a waiver, and secure swift adoption of a temporary COVID-19 waiver of patent, copyright, industrial design, and undisclosed data provisions of the WTO TRIPS agreement with respect to vaccines, treatments, diagnostic tests, and other medical products to prevent, contain, or treat COVID-19 and the inputs and equipment to make such medical products, so that WTO rules no longer thwart other countries' wider production of COVID-19 medicines. So this is all about getting vaccines to poorer countries, you know, that have been denied vaccines thus far. It should be a no-brainer for Congress to pass. What he's asking is that we get members to send emails and make phone calls into Sylvia Garcia's office so that she is aware of this and will support it. We can also do Sheila Jackson Lee and Al Green, although they feel like those two are pretty much on board already. So if you're interested in helping out with that, just send me your email in the chat and I'll get you over the information. Unfortunately, what he sent me is a lot of stuff and it's not easy to just share. But if you want to help out with some phone calls and emails, let me know and I'll get you tied into this.
Thank you, Scott. Just to remind y'all, the progressive fight's never over, and these little fights is how we win. Next, I wanted to give the floor to Bill. Bill, you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, a couple things. First off, thanks, Linda, for that update on what is going on nationally and in Congress. That is not something that we talk about here very often, the national efforts. I get an email from Our Revolution National on a daily basis begging for money. And I understand they need money to function. I get that. But the tone of the emails is becoming increasingly disturbing. It amounts to what I would call turd polishing. BBB, Build Back Better, started out as a $6 trillion initiative. Congressional leadership has cut it back, originally back to about 3 trillion. Now it stands at 1.7 trillion. Keep in mind, this is all the doing of Democrats in Congress. Our Revolution National is sending me emails trying to raise money on the back of what is now a $1.7 trillion budget bill. Many of the popular, certainly by the point of view of this organization, many of the popular provisions have been cut, dropped, reduced in scope. And one of the worst things is that some of them are subject to legislative approval by state government, meaning that those initiatives will, if passed, probably only cover about half the people in the country. You know darn well, the state of Texas is not going to approve any way, shape, or form of any initiative given the opportunity to turn it down. And getting these emails from National promoting this bill as though it's the best thing since proverbial sliced bread is very disturbing to me. The point and purpose of this organization when we started was to hold our legislators accountable. And I do not feel that National is doing that in this particular instance. They should be fighting to get this bill back towards where it started, not carrying on as though this is a wonderful thing. And I don't know how many of you follow the news, all of the machinations that have been going on behind this. Originally, this bill was supposed to pass in concert with the infrastructure bill, according to a promise and a compromise made with leadership in Congress. And if you're paying attention, you know that the infrastructure bill has passed. Build Back Better is stalled in the Senate. And as of yesterday, our buddy Mr. Manchin says, oh, there'll be no action on this until after the first of the year. And he is also on record as wanting to kill it altogether. So I just am very disturbed about the tone of what I'm seeing on a daily basis from National. And I'm talking about National Our Revolution. Instead of fighting for what we voted for when we voted for Joe Biden, those of you who did, I did not. We're not getting it. It ain't happening. And Our Revolution should be at the front of the line bitching about it. Not acting like this is a wonderful thing. Anyway, that's all I have to say.
Bill, I agree with you on a lot that you said. It is sometimes discouraging, put so much work into the progressive movement, and then it just seems that these, like for these moderates, for instance, like Joe Manchin, can just have so much influence and pull, and then more and more the policy is just becoming less and less and less of the change that we need to actually make this a better country. And it is discouraging.
And those of you who pay attention, you know, we have an ongoing attack by the right on the very nature and purpose of government. There's a constant litany of government's incompetence, that we shouldn't do things through government. And one of the reasons for that is that we pass these programs that are inadequate. They don't cover everybody they should. They're underfunded. And then they don't work. They don't solve the problems that they are professed to solve. And that just hands more ammunition to the right to say government doesn't work. A perfect example is ACA. It's been underfunded from the very beginning. The Medicaid expansion. You remember I said something about some of the initiatives in BBB are subject to state government approval. Only about half of the states have approved the Medicaid expansion. And this is certainly one that has not. That would cover millions of people were that passed in this state. Why in the world have we not learned not to do that? Oh, by the way, I'm modeling our shirt for those of you who would like a shirt. Jeremy's down at the Midtown Bar and Grill with a box full.
Very sexy it is, Bill.
Just also a reminder, I'm still here at Midtown Bar and Grill. I'll be here until 5 o'clock. If you want to come pick up a t-shirt, t-shirts are only $20. It's getting a little lonely, so stop by and come say hi. You know, I could use some friendly faces.
There you go.
Is there anyone else who would like to share their points of view on maybe stuff that is going on in the country today, or maybe your views on where our revolution should focus our efforts on in the following year? Floor is open.
I'll make one quick comment, kind of in echoing what Bill just said. You know, our revolution has a long history, relatively long, back to 2016 when Bernie Sanders founded the organization. But we have people on this call, myself, Bill, Jerry Wald, I think you too, Jeremy, that have been here with our revolution longer than anyone at National. National completely changed over their staff when Bernie ran for president in 2019. Unfortunately, we tend to know the mission a little bit better than they do nowadays, in my opinion. That's a good thing and a bad thing. You know, on the one hand, it means we sometimes have to put up with National and some of the things that they do. And they are not as helpful to us at all times as we would like them to be. But on the other hand, we can do pretty much what we want, especially since we're a PAC now. You know, we are growing our reputation here in the Gulf Coast. We're staying true to the mission. We can keep doing that. And we can just get bigger and more effective and more influential on our own. And I'm looking forward to it.
Bottom up politics. We have Evelyn with her hand raised. Evelyn, you have the floor.
Get a little exercise.
Okay, good. Hi, yeah, two things. One, a quick question, and that is when I was taking a walk the other day, a man asked me to sign a petition to get a judge on the ballot. And after I learned about her progressive view protecting individuals over corporations, I went ahead and signed that, which is not my question. My question is, later in the conversation, we were talking about general politics, and he said the Democrats are going to run someone against Lina Hidalgo. And I said, why would you do that? And he gave me some explanation that I can share with you, but I don't know that it's worth anything. Would they do that?
This came up in another meeting I was in yesterday, and I would be cautious about saying the Democrats are doing this. I mean, anybody can go and fill out the form and run for any office. You don't have to have party approval to do that.
Mhm.
So yes, Lena, has a primary challenger, I do believe, or she will. And we also have at least a dozen Democratic judges that are going to have challenges, incumbent judges.
Mhm.
And I
Okay.
think somebody already brought up the thing with bail reform and the bail issues, and a lot of that is coming out of opposition to progressive positions on bail reform. So, this endorsement process for this next round of elections, primaries, is going to be very, very, very important. And we absolutely will be scrutinizing anybody that submits an application,
Mhm.
to make sure we're all acting in concert here.
Okay, well, thank you. That clarifies a bit for me, and not to get hysterical about that, because I think she's doing, from what I can tell, a very good job. It is supporting the least vulnerable and doing what she should be doing to make things better for the people. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention was to thank Our Revolution, because I went to the website and I see that you've included in the platform to also have a focus, in addition to local issues, to end the endless regime change wars and to hold the foreign policy to account. And I appreciate that. And my question on that is, well, I believe in that very strongly for all of the, ethical, moral, just everything that's gone haywire and wrong. But I also feel that it is very much connected to getting all of the policies that are progressive policies accomplished here because of the funding. And I believe that if we focus locally on this issue, what that also means is that we recognize that the trillions of dollars wasted and in this for-profit ventures of wars, and I won't, everybody here knows this. I mean, I think people in this country recognize this, and they're as disappointed across the political spectrum as we are for this wrong direction on foreign policy and so on. But I'd like to think that local candidates have a leg to stand on to bring that up, to start the conversation here, because I don't know how else we will get the subject being discussed by average people. They're kept in the dark by this idea that every time someone pipes up, they're shouted down with the words national security, when we all know that it hurts our national security to be heading towards nuclear war, and also to be ignoring climate change. So it would help our national security to recover those trillions of dollars and try to help us get on a sustainable path here. So that's what I'd like to know, how, because in past years, over the years, when I've asked candidates, they haven't wanted to talk about it because it's a difficult subject to not expect to be attacked on. So that's what I wanted to know. And sorry to have taken so many words and so long to have expressed a very simple idea.
So I'm sorry, Evelyn. So your second question specifically is, how do we bring up the issue of foreign policy to local candidates and get their stance on it?
Yes, and have them recognize that it's not so strange a discussion locally, because those trillions of dollars would be able to help them push their own policies and pay for them. I mean, it seems to be, they're not isolated issues. They're very much, if we had the $7 trillion that have been spent over the last few years, just think how we could repair infrastructure, provide health care for all, and do the whole host of issues that everyone here is pushing for.
Well, I know one way that we do that is through our endorsement process. No matter what level that you're running for, we try to find more along the lines of what is the candidate's political ideology and where they stand on multiple issues. Even if that specific issue, they don't have power to change in the position that they're running for.
Right.
So in terms of also discussion, I would assume that many candidates may not want to talk about it for the simple fact that they don't have the power to change it. They're running for local office or something.
Right.
But in terms of where they stand on it, I would say if there's any candidate who is shy on speaking on an issue, whether they can affect it or not, then I say it's, in my opinion, that's questionable on the candidate, that they're hiding a point of view. I just be direct. I say straightforward. You want to know where these candidates stand, get a direct answer. Don't let them do the politician answering and wiggle around the question. Scott, I don't know, you look like you were about to jump in. You want to add to that?
Well, I think it's an interesting topic to get feedback on. It's true that when we endorse a school board candidate, for example, we don't put a question on the questionnaire about foreign policy, right? Because they're going to look at that and say, why are you asking me? You know, but sometimes careers begin on school boards. You know, there's pros and cons. I remember one year we did, I think it was like school board, city council, and we didn't ask questions like Medicare for all, for example, on the questionnaire, but in the forum, we got everybody to do a yes, no, like they did in one of the debates. You know, do you support Medicare for all? Do you support Green New Deal? Do you support $15 minimum wage? Just boom, boom, boom. Just so that if anybody was a no, we'd find out about it. So, I mean, we keep experimenting with different approaches, but, you know, whatever you guys think we should be doing, I'd love to hear about.
I have another point on this that I'd like to share, if I may. And that was, I don't know if
Ellen, we will ask if you can make it quick because we do have some people waiting.
I will. In 2016, when we were still traveling and at airports while we were waiting, I would talk to people. And we wound up sitting beside in the airport a lifelong conservative Republican couple. And the wife was very busy sharing how proud she was to ask Donald Trump whether he would get rid of Hillary Clinton. That was her big deal. Meanwhile, I went to talk to her husband and I mentioned to him, and I expected him to attack me with this, that I think the endless regime change wars are so catastrophic and so on. I was really surprised that he got a look of pain on his face and he was so much in agreement with this, that he was sad for the people who are being killed. He was sad for our soldiers who are being sent to do this stuff. And so I think there's a dialogue to be had and a movement to be developed. And I think we need that in order to start the dialogue. So that was another aspect of this. Thank you. And thanks for hearing me out.
Thank you for sharing it. Latanya, you have the floor.
Yes, I'd like to talk about the election that we just had with the school board. I worked as a presiding judge, and I want to let you know that people are just afraid to vote right now. I'll say the whole early voting that I did, it was 170 people that came the whole 2 weeks. And this was just at my location. You had some, it just depends on the area because HISD has a big election. It was a lot of drama going on with them, but I'm in the Aldine district. That's where I'm located, you know. But it just goes to show you how much people really are not concerned about voting. I had one person come in and tell me that people are afraid to vote because of Senate Bill 6, you know. The Republicans has done what they wanted to do, and they've made people afraid to go and vote, which has disenfranchised, you know, your Black and Hispanic community, you know. Something needs to be done. You know, one person can't do it, but one person could try to do it to connect and make everybody do it, you know. When meetings like this happen with the Republicans, nobody is disagreeing with anyone. They're all sticking together. And I'm saying this to say, any meeting other than us and whatever you're doing, I'm giving you some advice, you know. You need to stick together, you know. Try not to combat and say, and I can't tell you what to do. But I know that in 2022 and 2024, we got to come out kicking. You know, we got to come out fighting like it's for our lives. And I'm serious. Or they're going to totally take over a Medicare, which is concern for me, childcare, which is concern for me. You got to look at what concerns you. You know, that's very important to me. And that's going to determine my future, you know, as to what's going to happen with me. You know, so I'm fighting. I'm in everything. I'm trying to do everything I can. And I hope that our revolution can be a part of that. At least I can when I speak, to instill that in your mind. You know, being there for those 2 weeks, sitting there, nothing's happening. I'm standing outside waving, we're voting here, stop. I mean, it's just really that serious, guys, if you don't know. So if you're running for something, you know, you want people to come out and vote for you. You need to try to think right now, you know, what am I going to do? And I mentioned this before, you need to be approachable as a candidate. You need to have people to be able to talk with you, meet with you, you know, have lunch with them, you know, whatever it takes, have events, you know, do what you can to make sure that you're reaching these people, because people are not voting. And again, we talked about our revolution, what we can do as an organization. A couple of months back, or quite a few ago, we did the VDVR. We need to do it again. We need to do it again. You know, get people to register as a VDVR. That way, thank you very much, Mr. Charles. And it lasts till 22. Am I correct? December. Yeah. So we got hooked up like cable, you know. And so some people know what I'm talking about there. So anyway, it's like, it's serious. You know, it's very serious. We gotta be serious about this, and we gotta have in our minds that we're gonna win. You know, that's just one thing I want to talk about. Another thing I want to discuss is with our revolution as being more, what's the right word I'm looking for? Be more versatile. You know, we need to change some of the things that we do. You know, we can, you know, we need to have more Black, Hispanic in this organization. And we know that, y'all know that. And I'm sitting here looking at the screen, and I'm just going to be honest, you know, and that's why I refuse to leave this organization. Y'all going to have to kick me out. I'm serious. I'm going to be here, you know, as that face, you know, to represent the Black community in our revolution, because when I mention our revolution to people, to my Black community, they don't know who the hell I'm talking about. You know, they have no idea. And I tried to explain to them, you know, Bernie started it, and they're still not trying to hear it. They love Bernie. You know, they say, oh, Bernie, you know. They just don't know what we stand for. You know, I can only do as much as I can, you know, but what it needs to take is you guys, you know. So I'm going to step out of this for a moment, and I'm going to challenge someone. I'm just going to pick a person. And I've been looking at her, Miss Linda, you know, Miss Linda, if you don't mind, you know, what I want to do is I want to ask you, if someone asked you about our revolution and say, well, can you come up with an event, or can you come up with an idea or something that you can change our revolution to make it more diversity? what would be your idea? Like, boom.
I think that we have to go out into the community. We can't just stay in our own little, whatever you want to call it, white side of town, that we need to go into minority communities and develop some kind of, we have to develop a presence. It can't be just a one-off event. That doesn't work either. The issue is, how do we do that as part of our work? Because we're spread so thin. So in other words, maybe, I'm just making this up, okay? Just off the top of my head. There's an area that you pick and you canvas there a lot. There's a constant going back. And when I'm using the word canvas, where it's more than just block walking, for example, you make a presence in a certain part of the community and with a real purpose. You have to, first of all, know what that community is about and why are we here? Why are we going back? What kind of community events are we having? What are we doing for them? It's not just going and asking people to vote. So that is a possible breakthrough moment. Instead of spreading ourselves so thin and trying to get all over these places, that would be one thing. Maybe it is an area where voter turnout is not great. So maybe that's a purpose of it. And maybe it's learning, what is this community saying to us? What is it that is important to them? How can we help? How can we push those kind of candidates that will address their needs? Just made up off the top of my head. I think it needs to be more focused and targeted. Okay.
You did good, Linda. And that was great, because this is what this moment is about. It could be about any other topic, but this is our members moment where we get together and we look at our revolution and try to see what is it, other than that, more things too, but what is it that we could change? I love what Miss Linda said. She said target areas that is low voting area, all right? Our revolution goes out there, canvases more than just block walking, events, So that's something that we all together as a group can sit and put something like that together, right? So I wrote down what Ms. Linda said, right? And, if anyone else, would like to comment on that, if they have some ideas. Well, I saw Charles' hand first, and then Coach Bill, and then we'll move on to Chase after that.
So it's
and Miss Evelyn.
Thank you.
It's something that's just in the formative stages right now, but Harris County Democratic Party has already set up a pod program that they are intending to roll out across the county. There are, I want to say 35 different pods that they've tentatively identified. And they have identified a top 100 precincts. These are precincts that are very solidly blue, but have extremely low turnout. And the intent is going to be to go into those areas and say, great, we're glad that there are some of y'all that are voting, but we need more of y'all to vote, and go from 30-40% turnout to 60-70% turnout and stay blue and increase the numbers for the entire state of Texas. And if some of y'all aren't a big fan of him, I understand, but Beto's going to need that to win. We got to get the county numbers up all across the county. And this is the way HCDP is planning to do it. So please get in tune with your SD chairs, because it's supposed to roll down through them.
So is that a way that's going to actually help our revolution become more diverse, Charles? Because that was the question.
So the way that would work is for us to get involved and put the Our Revolution flavor into the Democratic Party.
That's what I was waiting to hear. Thank you, Charles. Okay, Coach. And then Evelyn, did you have an answer for that question?
Yes.
Okay, and then we'll go right to Chase, because
Coach,
Chase been
please go
waiting
ahead.
for a while. Okay. Coach, go ahead.
Two things. First, in line with what Chuck brought up, I had the opportunity to read a after analysis on Beto's run for Senate. And one of the things that absolutely jumped out, while his visiting every county thing did help him in some respects, he underperformed in solid blue districts like Sheila Jackson Lee's. We did not get the turnout that he would have needed to win from some of these, very, very clearly blue districts for various offices. So that comment is very much on the mark. Latanya, one thing that we have talked about in the past, and maybe we haven't followed up on it or whatever, but that is to try to create common cause and alliances with other groups that have common interest with us. So in other words, if we have an event, we need to make sure that we're cross-pollinating that event through the LGBT organizations, through any other organization that might have common cause with us.
Now we have did some press conferences with the Texas Black Democratic.
There you go.
Coalition.
I mean, that's another one. I mean, everything that we do, we should be making sure that they know about it, whether, they promote it for us or not. We have no control over that. But an alliance of like-minded groups reaches a broader audience quickly, rather than, trying to get people one at a time by knocking on doors.
Okay, Coach, thank you. And quickly, Miss Evelyn, and then we'll go to Chase.
I'll try to be quick. I care deeply about the charter school situation, and I think it is an attack on Black and Brown communities. And I found out that that is the case, not only from what I've read, but I attended some meetings of the local American Federation of Teachers, and also I went to the school board meetings where they were discussing charters, and there were so many like-minded members of the Black and Brown community there, and they so deeply care, and so do I, about the local community controlling the schools instead of allowing the state to take over. And I saw the commitment of Black and Brown people, much more so than just white people, because it was their children who were being had the resources ripped out from under them, and siphoning $3 billion so far across the state to have for-profit charter schools. So that's a horrible situation. And there's an opportunity to have community with the very children who are being hurt the most by this assault. So that's what I wanted to share.
Okay, thank you so much. And I want to tell everybody, thank you so much for engaging in that conversation with me. Next is Chase. Go ahead.
You're muted.
All right. So this is something that I've been, I kind of started about 2 months ago. It doesn't have a formal name, but it's basically, I've been using the hashtag a new breed of Democrat. As liberals, we are typically known for being understanding and caring, and we're willing to actually come to the table and negotiate and this and that. And for at least 30 something years in Texas, it hasn't worked for us. So I've been working right now with, I think, about 17 different candidates from around the state. We've had one meeting so far about, creating a core message. When you think of what a revolution is, it's actually people fighting. It's people with a backbone, people that won't back down, from a fight. Right now, the Republicans, they tell you they're going to do something. Guess what? They're going to do it. And the Democrats and liberals need to get on board with that same type of mentality of, if you say you're going to do it, do it. You know, none of this, you know, well, let's negotiate this, or, oh, well, we're going to, you know, do this to stop it. Like, so basically, you know, there is stuff going on in the background of candidates who are trying to actually, you know, have some strength and some power behind their message. And then I'd also like to kind of touch on what LaTanya was asking. And, you know, it's gonna probably sound kind of strange coming from me, but I mean, it's what I have seen in my life. So if you think of the story Hansel and Gretel, that's basically what the Democrats have been doing to the Black and brown communities. We've been handing out breadcrumbs. And you know what happens when you just hand out breadcrumbs? Well, yeah, you know, people are happy enough, you know, to vote for you or whatever, but all it does is it gets you way back to where you just started. What we need to do is start giving people, you know, underprivileged communities, you know, 2 pieces of bread, meat, cheese, condiments, teach them how to make a sandwich, and then they can open up their own sandwich shop. Obviously that's a metaphor, but you know, this breadcrumb stuff, it's not going to do anything. It's not going to get people to join the cause. It's not going to get people to believe, because they honestly, I don't think they trust us. I don't think they trust any politicians, regardless of how they vote. They don't trust us, and I don't blame them. And that's really all I have to say.
Would anyone else like to share their thoughts?
No, I'll pile on with what Chase just said. And I think it's important to recognize, you know, for a lot of people, all they know about party politics is what they see on the evening news. And most of that has to do with what's going on in Washington. And right now, for a lot of people, they look at what's going on in Washington and they see a party that's dysfunctional. Keep in mind, there's a voting rights bill dying in the Senate. There's a women's health bill dying in the Senate. The PRO Act that would make it easier to form unions, dying in the Senate because of Democrats. This is what people see. And it's no wonder that they don't have confidence. It's no wonder they don't think that their representatives are working for them. And as much as we try to do here locally, we're under that shadow. We can't escape that shadow because that's what people are seeing. Keep in mind, you know, the vast majority of people aren't showing up for meetings like this one.
We have 2 more hands up. Evelyn?
Yeah, I got another taste of how unfair things can be, but this goes back to 2007, 8, 9. I lived in a community between West Alabama and Westheimer, just west of Buffalo Speedway. And we were having flooding on the street, and I called the city, and within a couple of days, someone was out there, either city or county. They were out there and they installed a new drainage pipe. And I couldn't believe how fast it was. And then I learned that in a Black community on the east side of town, when it rained, what happened was the children couldn't even get a bus to drive them to school because the buses wouldn't run there. The streets weren't paved. And children had to take off their shoes and walk in that water to get to school. Now that is unacceptable. And I complained to city council about that. Why was it so easy for me on that particular community that I was living in to get this care, and the Black community that was poorer than our community, why weren't they attended? So can we hold our government accountable to make sure that there's more equity like that? That's all my question. Is that still going on? I don't know.
In terms of holding our government more accountable, that's actually one of the things that our revolution really tries to do, especially for our endorsed candidates. In fact, that was an example we did earlier this year where there were a couple of candidates that we strongly disagreed with their ideas. And then we tried as loud as we could to make a statement on why we disagreed with their decisions.
Well,
Really
we withdrew an endorsement and we disqualified a couple of other
Yeah.
legislators from ever being endorsed in 2022. And then we did a press release on that.
Yeah, and we try to do what we can to look, this is upsetting. We don't like the direction that you're going, and we're going to try to be vocal about it. And that's one way that we feel that we can be active in and that we can be effective in, because we have been effective in that area at the very least.
That's great.
Linda, you have something to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I think when you find work with the community on an issue that's really important with them for something that's winnable. So you have something that can actually be winnable, and they see that you can't helicopter in, you can't do that. But it's a point of listening to a community, to a marginalized community. Maybe you're forming a coalition with other organizations that are going to work on that specific problem. Maybe they're working through a campaign, et cetera, but there has to be something that's winnable, because if you can't win things, that's another way that people lose hope. They lose hope. And I think about one of the things that I love that Scott says all the time too, in terms of coming into a community and saying what issue is important to you. And so he's running for, I call it drainage ditch guy. And what it really does is by saying this is what's important to you, and it can drive people, you're driving people to the polls. If you will help me win this race on this issue, I'm going to get you this thing that you want. And so in Scott's case, they're hopefully voting up a ballot and get them in there to do that. But it's about what is it that you need? What is it that you want? I don't know how much all that work we did in 2018 that got so many judges across the line, those Democratic judges that replaced those god-awful Republican judges that let people languish in jail. And we know who languishes in jail. It's people of color. They don't have the money to get out of jail. So I don't know how much that resonated in those communities. We were just drinking water from a fire hose and doing all we could to hold candidate endorsement forums, such as the night of the Super Bowl, those kind of things we used to do, but we were very successful at it. So I still think it goes back to, is there a targeted project that will also work with the kind of things we're trying to do, which is to get more progressives elected? I keep thinking about those two candidates in Georgia. I know it's a national campaign, but Ossoff and Warnoff, who basically said, get us across the line and we're going to get you that $400 because we'll have what we need in the Senate. That is what people needed. And so that's a ramped up huge national idea, but you can still bring that down and find that coalition and find that targeted project. And it has to be sincere. It's okay to do things because it will also benefit us. You want to do that, but it also has to be sincere. It has to be sincere, something that sincerely helps. And when getting those Republican judges out, I just remember we were ferocious. We were like, we're going to get these you-know-what's out of here because this is so horrible. And it was, our hearts were in the right place. So that's all I have to say.
Any final thoughts?
Yes, I can't leave without talking about my favorite thing, cannabis reform. Free the weed in Texas. I really appreciate our revolution of Texas putting me in the reports. Free the weed. That's right, Scott. This session, I was, and actually Scott supported me. He came down to Austin and went to one of my rallies. We have it on our YouTube page. So you go on YouTube and look under Our Revolution Harris County and you'll see us out there. And I really appreciate what he did being there, you know. But what I'm trying to explain is that the nights that I stayed over to testify for cannabis bills, it was me. I was by myself. I had some friends with me, but my only organization was Cannabis Reform in Houston, you know, which is my organization. I feel like Our Revolution can support cannabis reform a little better. You know, we can say that we support it. Anybody can say, you know, you support it, but you got to actually do the work, you know. And, you know, I feel like maybe we can have more appearance there at the Capitol when these bills are being testified for. Just like my organization was there, you had Normal, you had Texas Alliance for Cannabis. There were so many other organizations, but I did mention Our Revolution, but you know, it would be nice to have other members come with me, you know, and so many different things that we can do. We can have classes on teaching what it takes to legalize it in Texas, because we just can't go vote for it. It's on a bill. And I'm pretty sure my people here already understands how it goes, but it's about educating others, you know, and that should be one thing that we should do, educate. And it can be more than just, you know, about cannabis. You know, I'm so glad that I have Chase on here, the other representatives that's running, because you are the guys that we have to depend on. You know, we can't write any bills, but y'all have to write the bills for us. We can't pass any bills, but you're on the jurisdiction committee to pass the bill, to go to Senate. I mean, it's you guys, but it's, you have to listen to us and what we're doing and what we're saying, and we have to be serious about it. I really think that Our Revolution Harris County, Our Revolution Texas can have a bigger stance there. We can have a bigger face and stand out bigger, you know, and maybe we can start like a little organization within us, you know, to help promote this thing, to help get it off the feet, you know, and get it going. So that's just the last thought I wanted to put in, and free the weed in Texas.
All right, we have two more people after this. We're going to have to stop because we're almost hitting 4. Jerry, you have the floor.
Yeah, thanks. I want to let people know that there was an effort this morning by a group called partly the Southwest Democrats and some other Democratic clubs, and in which we actually knocked on doors for 3 HIC candidates who are actually incumbents that are at high risk of being thrown out of office because the Republicans are pouring huge amounts of money and funding candidates that are not, that are calling themselves Democrat, or they're not at all Democrats, and they're proposing a variety of very, very strange ideas, anti-gay, attacks on children, pro-charter, a variety of wings. And that is, while it's great to think about the future and what we got to do with healthcare and things like that, the immediate crisis we have ahead of us is making sure that are trying to help those candidates who are running, Holly Villaseca, Flynn Villaseca, and Ann Sung, and Sudai Gard, and also one person that wasn't part of this because she doesn't live in that area, but is also Elizabeth Santos. Those positions are really being tacked and being overrun by money coming from outside the state and outside of Texas and outside of, I'm sure, the district. So if you are not feeling motivated to do something, or you want something very immediate to do, those campaigns are still looking for a lot of help. And they are also, and there is, early voting is going to be over in a couple of days. There are fewer sites to early vote in than there have been previously. And then that'll be through the 7th, and then elections will actually be occurring on the 11th. So those of you who have the availability to go on, and there are phone banks being held, and labor movements doing a bunch of work, and other organizations and Democratic parties doing work. So if you can help with that, that'd be great. Thank you.
All right, and we're going to end the members' minute with Evelyn.
Yes, once again, Evelyn has to put in her 2 cents, but Latanya, on your on your very important issue of cannabis, also including that Black and brown people are disproportionately put in for-profit prisons. This is an excuse to fatten the profits of those prisons and those for-profit entities that are criminal, in my opinion. And that's the end of that. It's terrible.
All right. Now let's go ahead and finish up our meeting, which is a few announcements and upcoming events. Chuck, would you like to go ahead and take over this?
Absolutely. So just a reminder, there's no better way to celebrate the new year with a hangover than on January 1st, coming to our first meeting of 22. Hopefully y'all have a safe New Year's Eve and are able to join us. And at 2 p.m., everything, just start off with a nice big greasy breakfast and a cup of coffee, and you'll be fine by 2 p.m. But we hope to see y'all January 1st. Start off the new year the right way, first day with Our Revolution Harris County, 2 p.m. as usual.
That's when we'll have our renewal votes for the candidates that need to be renewed. So don't miss it.
Also, a reminder that the Brazoria Fort Bend meeting is going to be next weekend on Saturday, December 11th, 2 p.m. And hope to see you join in that as well. I think it's not supposed. And then we've got Our Revolution Harris County on social media, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. The links are there. I believe they are live. And then Jeremy has dropped them into the chat also. So please follow us on social media, spread the good word of Our Revolution Harris County and Our Revolution Texas. Thank you so much for joining us. Please be safe and healthy, and enjoy your holiday season. Let's look forward to an awesome end of the filing season coming up soon. And then we will be able to see what the map is going to look like for 22. Thanks so much. Y'all be safe, be healthy, be happy.
Merry Christmas to everybody. And
also, don't forget to stop by
Year.
Midtown, buy a t-shirt.
Yep.
Jeremy's
only.
Jeremy in Midtown.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks so much, y'all.